In this class, we're going to discuss quadratic equation. Let's start by explaining what is meant by quadratic equation. A quadratic equation is an equation whose highest power of the unknown is 2. Okay, let me give you a typical representation of a quadratic equation. Example is ax squared plus bx plus c. Now, having known the meaning of a quadratic equation, let me explain the terms in quadratic equation. This is how a typical quadratic equation looks like. Are you paying attention? Now, in this equation, we call this equation quadratic equation because the highest power of the unknown is 2. You understand? The highest power of the unknown is 2. The unknown in this equation is x. You understand? X is the unknown in this equation. Are you paying attention? Now, if I have another equation, maybe ay squared plus by plus c, you understand? This is also quadratic equation because the highest power of the unknown is 2, you understand? So the unknown in this equation is what? Y. Do you understand? Okay? To know the unknown in a quadratic equation, are you paying attention? You have to study the letters that carries the power, the highest power, you understand, which is 2. Are you paying attention? So that is how I knew that y is the unknown. Are you paying attention? Okay, now let us look at another example. Let's say we have ax squared plus c equals to 0. Let me just put it equals to 0. This equals to 0. This is how all quadratic equation will look like. Are you paying attention? Now, this also is a quadratic equation, and the reason is because the highest power of the unknown is what? 2. You understand? You can see that this is the power. Are you paying attention? This is the power. This is also the power. You understand? So this is also a quadratic equation. Are you paying attention? Now, please, having known what is meant by a quadratic equation, let us start by identifying the term. This equation that you have here is known as trinomial. Are you paying attention? Trinomial quadratic equation because we have 3 terms. Are you paying attention? Now, in this equation, ax squared plus bx plus c, we have the first term, we have the second term, and we have the constant term. Are you paying attention? The first term is the coefficient of x squared. Are you paying attention? The first term in this quadratic equation is the coefficient of x squared. Now, what is the coefficient of x squared? The coefficient of x squared is what? A. So this is the first term. You understand? Okay? Now, the second term is the coefficient of x. And the coefficient of x in this equation is b. You understand? So this is the second term. Okay? Now, the constant term is the term that doesn't have the variable, the unknown that you are looking for. Are you paying attention? The constant term is the term that doesn't have any letters that is constant. It doesn't have any letters attached to it. You understand? It doesn't have any unknown. The unknown that you are told to determine. This constant term doesn't have it. The constant term is what? C. You understand? This is the constant term. Do you understand? Okay? Now, having known the term in the quadratic equation, let's start with this example. We are asked to determine the first term, the second term, and the constant term in this quadratic equation. Okay, let's start with the first question. We have 3x squared plus 2x plus 5 equals to 0. Now, don't forget, I told you the coefficient of x squared, the coefficient of the unknown that has the highest power is the first term. Are you paying attention? It might not be x squared again. You understand? It might not be x squared. They might not put it as x squared. For example, let me add another question now. Let me add 5y squared plus 3x plus 4 equals to 0. Okay? And let me add another question. I'm just adding a question now, okay? Just to let you understand this concept very well, okay? So, let's have 5 minus 2x plus 6x squared equals to 0, okay? So, let's go back to this question. Now, the coefficient that has the highest power of the unknown, that coefficient is the first term. Are you paying attention? The highest power of the unknown in this equation is what? 2. And the unknown that we are looking for is what? X. The coefficient of the highest power of the unknown is the first term. Just have that at the back of your mind. Do you understand? Now, the unknown in this equation is x. You can see, we don't know the value of x. Are you paying attention? Now, but I've told you that the first term in a quadratic equation is the coefficient that belongs to the highest power of the unknown. Are you paying attention? The highest power of the unknown is what? 2. The unknown is x. So the coefficient of x squared is what? 3. Therefore, 3 is the first term in this quadratic equation. Do you understand? The first term equals to 3. Okay? Now, the second term is the coefficient of x. Are you paying attention? The coefficient of x is the second term. Are you paying attention? So, in this case, b, okay, let me put it. A equals to first term equals to 3. B equals to second term, and that is what? 2. Do you understand? Now, the constant term is the term that is not attached to any letters. Are you paying attention? The numbers that is not attached to any letters in our quadratic equation is what we call the constant term. So, we can call that one C. C equals to the constant term or third term. Or let's call it constant term, okay? Constant term equals to what? 5. Do you see now? So the first term in this quadratic equation is 3a, b is what? 2, and c is what? 3. Do you understand? Okay, let's do another question. For this quadratic equation, 5x squared minus 4x plus 1 equals to 0. Okay? Now, looking at this quadratic equation, what is the first term? The first term is the coefficient of the coefficient that belongs to the highest power of the unknown. The highest power of the unknown is 2. The unknown is x. The coefficient of x is the coefficient of x squared is what? 5. So the first term here in this quadratic equation equals to 5, and the second term, which is b, equals to what? The second term, which is b, equals to negative 4, and the constant term. The constant term is also known as the third term. You understand? So the constant term equals to what? Plus 1. That is 1. Do you understand? Now, I want to do something. Pay attention to this sign, okay? 5 is also known as positive 5. You understand? And 1 is also known as what? Positive 1. But when it comes to negatives, you must indicate that there is a negative sign. That's why I have negative 4, negative 4. Okay? So, now, we are done with 2 questions. Let us deal with the third question. We have x squared plus 3x minus 28. X squared plus 3x minus 28. Now, the first term in this quadratic equation is the coefficient of x squared, because x is the unknown in this quadratic equation, and the coefficient that belongs to the highest power of the unknown is the first term. So a equals to what? A equals to 1. You understand? First term. Let me just put it. First term. That's 1. Now, you might not see 1 in this at the coefficient of this x squared, but there is an invisible 1. You understand? 1x squared is also the same thing as what? X squared. You understand? 1a is also the same thing as what? A. So 1x squared is also the same thing as what? X squared. You might not see 1 as the coefficient of x squared. You understand? So the first term here is 1, and the second term, which is b, equals to what? The coefficient of x. That is the second term. That is what? Plus 3. Plus 3. You can put 3. You understand? And the constant term, which is c, the constant term equals to what? Negative 28. Okay? Now, I want you to attempt question 4. You understand? And as well, I want to attempt question 5. Now, I'm going to do question 6. Okay? Now, question 6. We have 5 minus 2x plus 6x squared. 5 minus 2x plus 6x squared equals to 0. All quadratic equations might not be arranged like this. You understand? They might not be arranged like this, but just note the highest power of the unknown. Immediately you note that. That will tell you maybe it is quadratic equation or any other form of equation. Are you paying attention? Now, because the highest power of this unknown is x squared, the highest power of this unknown, in this quadratic equation is 2. That means that this is a quadratic equation. A quadratic equation is an equation whose highest power of the unknown is 2. Are you paying attention? Do you understand? Okay. Now, here, let us determine the first term. The first term is the coefficient of x. The coefficient of x squared. You understand? So, the first term, a equals to what? Plus 6. And it's also the same thing as 6. You can leave it like that. B equals to what? Negative 2. And C equals to what? 5. Having learned how to identify the terms in a quadratic equation. Now, how do we solve this quadratic equation? There are 4 methods that we're going to talk about. The first method is the factorization method. The second is the completing the square. The third is the formula method. And the fourth is the graphical method. You understand? So let us discuss the first 3 methods. Okay? The first method is the factorization method. Okay? Now pay attention, please. We are asked to solve this quadratic equation using the factorization method. Now let's start with question 1. That is x squared negative 2x negative 15 equals to 0. Now, you know that we've learned how to identify the first, second, and the constant term in our quadratic equation. To solve this question, all you have to do is that you just have to find 2 numbers such that their product is equals to the constant term in this quadratic equation and their sum is equals to the second term in this quadratic equation. Listen to the explanation again, okay? Let's say we have a quadratic equation ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0. The constant term is what? C. The second term is b. You understand? This is the second term and this is the first term. You understand? First, second, and the constant term. Do you understand? Now, what I'm trying to say is that in an attempt to solve this quadratic equation, all you have to do is to find 2 numbers in which their product is equals to the constant term in this quadratic equation and their sum is equals to the second term. Now, the aim of going through the how to identify the terms in quadratic equation, this is the aim. You understand? The aim is that by the time we get to factorization method, you'll be able to identify the constant term, the second term, and the first term. Now, I'm asking you now, what is the constant term in this quadratic equation? The constant term in this quadratic equation is what? Negative 15. You understand? This is the constant term. Are you paying attention? And the second term in this quadratic equation is what? Negative 2. This is the second term. Now, the first term is what? 1. This is the first term. The coefficient of x squared is the first term, the coefficient of x is the second term, and the constant term is that term that doesn't have any value of x attached. You understand? Now, all you have to do in an attempt to solve this quadratic equation using the factorization method is that find 2 numbers in which their product is equals to the constant term. The constant term is negative 15 rather. So when you have to determine 2 numbers, find 2 numbers in which their product is equals to negative 15 and their sum is equals to the second term, which is negative 2. Do you understand now? That is it. Now, let's go. What are the 2 numbers in which by the time we take their product, we are going to have negative 15? And by the time we add these 2 numbers together, we are going to have negative 2. What are the 2 numbers? I don't know and you don't know. Let's check. Can we add, let's try 2 and 3. 2 times 3 equals to 6. 2 plus 3 equals to 5. So this is not correct. Let us try another number. Let us try 3 and 4. 3 times 4 equals to what? 12. And 3 plus 4 equals to 7. So this is also not correct. Let us have another number. 3 and 5. 3 times 5 equals to 15. 3 plus 5 equals to 8. Even though 3 times 5 gave us 15, but we are looking for negative 15, not 15. Do you understand? And 3 plus 5 gave us 8. It is not negative 2. You see, the product of these 2 numbers that we need, their product must be equal to negative 15. And their sum must be equal to what? Negative 2. You understand? Now, by the time I use 3 and 5, 3 times 5 gave me 15. 3 plus 5 gave me 8. So this is also not what? Correct. So let's change the sign now. Okay? Let's change the sign. Let's use negative 5 and 3. You understand? So negative 5 times 3 is what? Negative 15. Are you paying attention? Now, negative 5 plus 3, what is that? Negative 2. So therefore, the two number that satisfy this quadratic equation is what? Negative 5 and what? Negative 5 and 3. Do you understand? Let me write it somewhere. Negative 5 and 3. So the two number in which their product is equals to the constant term and their sum is equals to the second term is what? Negative 5 and 3. Okay, so I'm going to erase this. The reason why I show you this is because I want you to understand. Okay, if I'm doing this in exam, I don't have to show this step. You understand? So we have negative 5 and 3. Now we are going to replace. I'm telling you the next step now. The first step is to look for two number in which their product is equals to the constant term and their sum is equals to the second term. Okay, please just pay attention. Okay, now the next step is to replace the second term by these two number. You understand? Okay, let's go. This is what? Negative 5x positive 3x. You understand? Because the unknown is x now. You understand? That's why we have to put x. Negative 5x times what? 3x. That will give me negative 15x squared. And I'm still coming back to that place. Just pay attention, okay? Now, for this, I'm going to have x squared. Okay? X squared negative 5x negative, okay, positive 3x minus 15 equals to 0. What I did is that I replaced negative 2x as what? Negative 5x positive 3x. By the time I add this together, I'm still going to have this. Do you understand? Okay. Now we are going to separate this quadratic equation. Okay. We are going to separate it into two. This and this. Okay. We have. Please just pay attention. Okay. Please just pay attention. Now I've separated this quadratic equation. Now let us factorize the first part. We have two parts now. This is the first part and this is the second part. You understand? Let us factorize the first part. Factorizing means bringing out the common terms between these two between the two terms in the brackets. You understand? What is common to x squared and x and negative 5x? The common terms is what? X. So I'm going to have x into bracket x minus 5. Do you understand? Listen to the explanation again. What I'm doing here is that I want to factorize the first part of this quadratic equation. The first part is x squared minus 5x. Now, if I'm to factorize this, I have to look at the terms that is common to x squared and negative 5x. That term is what? X. So, by the time I open this bracket by x, I'm still going to arrive at this. You understand? So, that is why I will call this method factorization method. Okay? Now, here I'm going to have what is common to positive 3x and negative 15. What is common is positive 3. You understand? So I'm going to have positive 3 into bracket x minus 5. Listen to the explanation again. It's simple. If I choose x here, x is not present in 15. So I cannot use x. What is common to positive 3x and negative 15 is what? Positive 3. By the time I take the product of positive 3 and x, I'm still going to arrive at positive 3x. Positive 3 and negative 5, negative 15. Do you understand? Okay? Now, this will be equals to 0. All we have to do here is that because we have the same factor inside this bracket, I have to choose one. So I'm going to have x plus 3. This x plus this 3x. Oh, sorry. This x plus this 3. That's why I have this equals to 0. And I'm going to choose one among these brackets. I'm going to choose one. So I'm going to have or x minus 5 equals to 0. Do you understand? Here, I'm going to have x equals to negative 3 or x equals to 5. I just move this 5 to the other side of the equation. The negative sign changed to positive. I move this 3 to the other side of the equation. The positive sign changes to negative. Do you understand? Now, do you know that this kind of quadratic equation is straightforward? Yeah. I'm going to explain. It's straightforward, and the reason is because the coefficient of x squared is unity. The coefficient of x squared is unity in the sense that the coefficient of x is what? 1. But there are some quadratic equations in which the coefficient of x is not unity. We are still coming here. Are you paying attention? So now the value of x in this that will make this quadratic equation equals to 0 is what? Negative 3 and 5. Do you understand? So negative 3 and 5 are the roots of this quadratic equation. because by the time you substitute negative 3 as x equals to negative 3, you are going to have 0. And by the time you substitute x equals to 5, you are still going to have 0. You understand? These are what we call the roots of a quadratic equation. Hence, the root of a quadratic equation is that values that we make that quadratic equation equals to 0. Do you understand? Okay? Don't forget that I said this quadratic equation is what? Is unity. You understand? Because the coefficient of x squared is what? 1. There are some quadratic equations in which the coefficient of x squared is not 1. There are some things that you have to do before you factorize. Are you paying attention? We are still coming there, okay? Now, I want you to attempt this second question. I want you to attempt this second question and drop your answers in the comment section, okay? If you attempt it and get it right, you are going to have x equals to negative 3 or negative 2. That will be the value of x if you get it right, okay? But if you didn't get this answer, then you are incorrect. Try it again and listen to the explanation, okay? Now, I don't want you to miss any class under these topics, quadratic equation, because it's a series. We are just starting. Do you understand? So, I want you to follow this YouTube channel, and also make sure that you get updates by turning on your notification, okay? See you in the next class. To watch the next class, kindly check the description of this video. You are going to see a link there. Click on that link, or you should check the playlist on this channel, okay? See you in the next class.